That sculpture was on the side of a parking garage. The parking garage was torn down back in the early 1980s. That sculpture was taken off and just discarded as some Park District property where it's forgotten about for about 15 or so years. They found it back in the late 1990s. It was in pretty bad shape. It was rusted and bit in half. They raised funds, restored it, and hung it on the side of that bridge. And again, the Chicago Rising from the Lake by Milton Horn, 1954. The building houses one of the largest ballrooms in the city, with an accommodate about 1,000 people. It's roughly an acre in size. The building is postmodern. One thing that makes the building to our left postmodern is that the window above the base that is covered with copper window, developed in this city more than a century ago. Some of you all may have this type of window in your own house and wouldn't realize it was covered with copper window. The dorm consists of a large central pane of glass that is mainly stationary, and inside windows can go up and down to allow for maximum ventilation. All those old office buildings were built with no air conditioning. On the Sheraton is more modern, the center pane of glass folds out. Ironically enough, the same architecture firm is responsible for the design of the high-rise, which is nearing completion here to our left. That's going to be a hotel rental tower combination, a Lowe's Hotel. The building's going to have 300 hotel rooms in the base and 300 apartments in the tower. It should be ready for occupancy by the end of this year or early next year. I don't know why it's not going right now, but coming up here to our left, we do have beautiful Centennial Fountain from 1989, designed by Lohan and Associates. The fountain was built to pay tribute to the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Chicago Sanitary District, which has done some marvelous things for this river. Now you may or may not know the Chicago River, which of course we are on right now, is the river that flows backwards. Now, originally the river did flow into Lake Michigan, but in 1900, with the opening and completion of the Sanitary and Ship Canal, they reversed the flow of this river on purpose. And the reason they did that in those years, no high-rises on the river, but industry. And like most big cities during the Industrial Revolution, we used the river as a giant dumping ground, dumping everything you could possibly think of into this river, which would then flow out into Lake Michigan. Of course, that is where the city gets its drinking water from, meaning eventually it was being sucked back into the intake ribs and pipes, causing people to get sick and die from cholera and typhus. So they reversed the flow of the river so everything would flow south, so to the dismay of those who live downstream. The way they reversed the flow of the Chicago River was by digging the Sanitary and Ship Canal between 1890 and 1900. That canal is a bit deeper than the bottom of the river here. It's on a slight angle. It begins on the west side of the subcontinent of the divide, which is about 5 miles east of where we are right now. On the west side of that divide, waters drain westerly towards the Mississippi and down towards the Gulf of Mexico. In this area on the east side of the divide, the watershed is out into Lake Michigan. Now, I do have a sad. Directly here to our left, behind this white plywood wall, which says Case Foundation, a few years ago, they were planning on building the tallest building in North America on that site. They began construction, and then they stopped. It was called Chicago Spire. It was designed by Spanish architect Santiago Calatrava. It was going to be a 150-story tall condo building rising to a height of 2,000 feet. It was going to have 1,100 condominiums and just as much parking all underground. They finished the foundation for the building. They sold about 40%. They sold about 40% of the units in the structure. Then the economy tanked. They couldn't get the financing. About $1.2 billion it was going to cost to build. The developer, Garrett Kelleher, was from Ireland. And things in Ireland were worse off economically speaking than they were here in the United States. That site has been dormant ever since. But earlier this year, the developer made an agreement that was signed off by a bankruptcy judge. He has until the end of October of this year to come up with about $100 million to pay off those creditors, with an extension available until March of next year. So of course, all of us skyscraper geeks have our fingers crossed that hopefully one day in the near future, that cool corkscrew-like skyscraper will be rising up into our skyline. We shall see. Now, of course, directly here before us and around us, we're going to have beautiful Lake Michigan, third largest of the 5 Great Lakes, the only one that lies entirely within the borders and boundaries of the United States. The other Great Lakes share a border with Canada. It is the